You're focused on self. You're no longer trying to save anybody. You're no longer trying to fix anybody, because you know the only person that you could save or fix, for lack of better words, is yourself. That's the only thing that you can change. You can't change nobody's mind. Can't control anything about anybody else or any circumstance outside of yourself. You have to build your world from within. Okay, as above, so below. If you can think it and visualize it, you are able to manifest it. I think people become frustrated, and me included. Of course, I've been there. When you know that you deserve a certain reality, but your 3D is not reflecting that reality. So then you become incredibly frustrated. But there is something that we all need to work on, and sometimes we ignore our intuition because we're being so heavily weighed down by the 3D, and by our reality. Because, like it or not, we live in a world where we have to make a certain amount of money in order to survive. I mean, unless you're getting a check every month, or there's certain outliers, of course, like, you have a trust fund, or you're being taken care of, that's a blessing. Then then you're going to have the freedom to be able to do what it is that you're passionate about, and it's not going to be as difficult. That's what's known as a resting life. But for my collective, I feel like you signed up to struggle because you wanted to be an inspiration. This is the idea. Before you incarnated here, we all have these bright ideas before we incarnate here, and then we get down here like, why would I ever sign up for this? This was a horrible idea. Okay? But this is what we signed up for, and you carved this path out for yourself for a reason, because you are exceptional. You are extraordinary. Okay? So whatever life has to throw at you, you can handle it. You're equipped to handle it. Now, it's going to be difficult. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Because if it was easy, everybody would do it. But I see that you are focused on the things that you need to improve, and you're being honest. This is the thing. You're being honest about the things that you need to improve on. A lot of people, they don't want to be honest about the things that they could and should improve. They're not honest about that. They're not honest about that because that would require facing the guilt and the shame, and it requires introspection and dismantling old, outdated, antiquated belief systems and habits and everything. You have to change everything about yourself a lot of times, because you have to unbrainwash yourself. You have to unfuck yourself. Okay, for lack of a better term. I'm sorry. But here's the thing. You're willing to do the hard work. And I feel like even though you have to remind yourself or gently push yourself or redirect your thoughts or correct your behavior, the fact that you're willing to do it makes you an outlier. Okay, speaking of outliers, it makes you a part of the 1%. It makes you elite. And you're going to become a target. You're going to remain a target. You've already been a target. You've been targeted since birth because it was orchestrated and preordained to be that way. So people can be inspired by your journey. Damn, they went through all this and they still succeeded, and their soul is intact. They're still in control of, their soul. Their soul has not become contaminated. You're meant to be an inspiration. Your very existence is an inspiration. But when people are supposed to be inspired by you, oftentimes they'll get triggered, because becoming inspired by somebody means, taking what they have done and making it your own and changing something about yourself. People just can't grasp the concept of changing something about yourself. And I feel like the older people get, the more difficult it gets a lot of times for them. They make it difficult. The fact that you're willing to come across new information and alter your beliefs, shift your perspective, that makes you a part of the 1%. 99% of people can't do that. So when you're a part of the 1%, but you ain't seeing no 1% benefits, you're not seeing the same benefits that the elite are seeing, that's the whole point. They want to break your spirit. They want to make it difficult for you. They want to sabotage your finances, sabotage your business. They don't want you to become an entrepreneur. They don't want you to go your own way and forge your own path. But they ain't got no choice but to sit up there and watch you now, because there's nothing stopping you. The only person who can stop you is you. A lot of times, yes, we do get in our own way. But I feel like you've gotten out of your own way. And when people see that you're doing your own thing and you're focused on you, building an empire, they're going to be mad because they went the traditional route, or they feel like you have something that you don't deserve to have that. They deserve to have what you have, but they don't understand what you've been through to get to this point in your life of enlightenment, of self-improvement, of introspection. They're not willing to go through the steps. They didn't have to go through the trauma and the drama. I mean, they're not equipped to do so. Spirit, God, the universe would never put you through something that you could not handle. Sometimes it feels like life is unmanageable and unbearable. The trauma, the drama, being targeted, people trying to sabotage you, people giving you the evil eye, sending you ill will, lying about you. I mean, it gets to a point where it's like insurmountable and it seems unbearable. But look at you, collective. You're still out here doing your thing, and you have survived all the attacks, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. They have tried to attack you in every which way from every direction. And you're still out here triggering the very same people who try to take you down, because you're disrupting the narrative that they have created for you. You're forging your own path because you're not trying to control anybody else's perception of you. You decided that you can control what you can control, which is your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors. You're doing you, and they don't like that. Okay, collective. So you do have people that are very defensive right now, because it's kind of like you're making them out to be a liar. Really, you're exposing them for the liar that they've always been. I don't understand like a grown person being a habitual pathological liar, but it's pathological, which means that they can't control it. It's an illness, and there's currently no cure for it. There's no cure for narcissism, and all they do is lie. But you're no longer becoming upset about it. Like, it's very upsetting when, you didn't do anything wrong and you're innocent in the situation, and people are lying about you. I feel like you know more than they think that you know. Because there's something about you that's very unassuming. You have this quiet confidence. You have this pure aura because you are pure-hearted and you have positive intentions for everybody that you meet and you come across. But you ain't no bitch. You ain't submissive. You ain't letting these people walk all over you anymore, and they really not gonna like that. And especially if you're not coming across as aggressive, argumentative, and combative, but you have retained your dignity and self-respect by disengaging with people who are trying to intentionally provoke you, by just not engaging with people who you know are not going to change. They have no desire to change. There is no plan to change. And then when you realize that, you're like, okay, I'm wasting my time. My time would be better spent building an empire, practicing what I'm good at, focusing on what brings me passion, what brings me joy, what makes me feel like I have purpose in this life. Do what you got to do to keep a roof over your head, but I don't think that's an excuse to not focus on your spiritual journey. I feel like you're focused. You got that tunnel vision right now. Collective, I feel like you locked in. And what that's going to do is that's going to lock out the naysayers. It's not that they're not going to be there or they're not going to be as loud, but you're just not paying as much attention to them. Because the more you focus on what you prefer, the more the universe will give you what you prefer. And what you don't prefer, it's not like it won't be there, because people still have their own free will. And they will impose their will onto you in any way that they can. But it's just going to become less relevant in your life. It's like the less relevant you make other people, the more relevant you are in their lives, as if they weren't already obsessed with you. I feel like you have come to terms with the fact that lots of people are going to be obsessed. They're going to try to sabotage you, and they're going to try to send you the evil eye. And there's absolutely nothing we could do about that. Like, we could focus on it and obsess over it, and then we become quite upset, and we become depressed, and then we spiral. That's what they want, guys. That's what they want. And I feel like you have realized this, and you know that you can't control the outcome. The only thing that you can control is your thoughts, your actions, and your behaviors. Okay, within certain constraints. Okay, we all have the same 24 hours, but we do not have the same privileges. Okay, like somebody that was born with a trust fund, or somebody that's being taken care of and they're set for life and they don't have to work ever again, it's going to be easier for them to focus on their spiritual journey, physical journey, self-improvement journey, whatever it is that they need to do. Because they don't have to spend so much time and energy, making money. Okay. So it's going to be hard because you signed up for a hard life. Things are going to be a little bit more difficult because you're supposed to inspire people. Damn, they live such a difficult life, but they really out here locked in, focused. It's grind time. That's how you're being perceived right now. So I want to encourage the collective to continue to focus on self, because the more you continue to focus on self, the more tests are going to come. Okay. Because people are going to like try to take you off your path, because in forging your own path is going to point a spotlight at the fact that other people are not even attempting to forge their own path, because they have given up hope that they're going to be able to do what they love and make money from it. A lot of people have just become complacent, and they don't understand that that's not good enough for you. Like, you want to live a life where your nervous system is not constantly being attacked. So what people are going to do is they're going to constantly attack you because they don't like you even having that type of mindset. They don't like you even thinking about breaking free from the mold and forging your own path. Okay. They want you to be on the path that they set out for you to be on. Okay. That's how delusional people are. They think that you should act the way they want you to act, do what they want you to do, so they could become comfortable in your presence. Because people don't like seeing somebody on a self-improvement journey, because they know they're supposed to be on their own self-improvement journey, but they're not. So seeing you on yours does not inspire them. It infuriates them. But there is a 1%, there is 1% of people out there that will become inspired. That is your audience. And in focusing on yourself, you're inadvertently focusing on them. Now, whoever focuses on you, we don't have control over that, because I feel like a lot of people focus on you. And people who are unremarkable will never understand what it's like to have groups of people obsessed with you and obsessed with sabotaging you and ruining your life. So I feel like you're not paying attention to them either, or trying to explain yourself. I feel like you're speaking your truth when you feel like it's appropriate to do so, but you're not trying to gather any attention or validation, or trying to like prove yourself in a like some type of like insecure way, like, oh, I have to prove myself, I had to prove my side of the story. No, I feel like you're speaking your truth when the moment calls for it. Like, you're not going to go out of your way to protect the people that try to destroy your reputation, destroy your life. They'll go as far as like to just say crazy things to you on the street, sign you up for those, email lists where they just spam your email all day, spam calls, spam text all day. They sign you up for like different things like mail and stuff, junk mail to come to your house, vandalize your property, show up at your doorstep. Yeah, you'll see these people just on your security cameras coming up to your door, just like listening to the door, looking at the window, trying the door handle. Like, bro, they'll do anything. But it's like, if they were going to do something catastrophic, they would have done it by now. Because they can't actually touch you. What they could do is they could freak you out and annoy you to death. That's really their prime objective, is to annoy you to death. But some people have it worse than others. But I really want to encourage chosen ones, star seeds, earth angels, targeted individuals, empaths, okay? My collective. I want to encourage you to try not to focus on these people as much as you can. Like, have an awareness, and if somebody is targeting you and harassing you, definitely do whatever you can to gather evidence. Create a log, okay? Make sure you write down every time something weird happens. Anytime something upsetting or disturbing happens, write it down. Video evidence, photo evidence, and then hide it in your phone. Close the book and put it in a drawer. I want you to become aware but not obsessed, because that's what these people want. They want you to become obsessed with them because they're obsessed with you. But you have become obsessed with yourself, which they really hate. Okay, so I would encourage you to continue to do the thing that they really hate, because you're going to continue to upset and trigger people because that's what you're meant to do. It doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong, and it doesn't mean that eventually the harassment will get to you and you'll become like sabotaged and unsuccessful for life. No, this ain't that. You didn't come down here to be unsuccessful, because you are remarkable. There's nothing unremarkable about you. You're not normal. You're not typical. You're not average. You're not your like average everyday individual. And I feel like you have embraced this fact, okay? You're no longer trying to hide your magic, as it were, okay? And you're no longer paying attention to things that you do not prefer. And if you do, you gently direct your thoughts to something more positive. It's hard to do that. So you're out here doing the hard work. You continue to do the hard work because the hard work is never really done. Like, healing isn't something that, it's not like a destination. It's something that you have to constantly work at. It's like when you get fit and, you've been on your nutrition and physical fitness journey for the past 2 years. You can't just be like, okay, now I'm done. Now I have my dream body. I'm happy with this. And then you go back to your old habits of, being inactive and eating the foods that you were before and eating in a caloric surplus. You're going to go back to like looking how you look. So it's like a everyday thing. Now, yeah, congratulations, you've gotten to that point, which is hard enough. Now the real hard work begins, maintaining that dream body, okay? So it's something that you had to put in work into every day, and people are not willing to do that additional work, okay? So again, it makes you a part of the 1% that you're willing to continue to do the hard work physically, mentally, spiritually. And you do have people out here who are watching and they are inspired. I feel like you're becoming less and less freaked out and creeped out by being watched. Okay, because it gets to a point, because you're an empath, you feel everything. You could like feel people watching you. And not only feel people watching you, because you could feel them watching you and not supporting you. It's like you're very entertaining. It's like you're entertainment for a lot of people. And it's like you don't know if they're like inspired. Do they love you? Do they hate you? Are they supporting or are they spectating? Well, most of the time, more often than not, they're going to be spectating. Because people don't want the burden of, supporting you, because a lot of people, they just don't have the resources. I mean, it's crazy because they have the time to observe you, but they don't have the resources nor the inclination to actually support you in a meaningful way. And that's something that it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's something that you have come to terms with, okay, collective? And you continue to come to terms with that, as frustrating and, kind of like sad and disappointing as that is, especially when like old friends, old coworkers, family, people that people who like you grew up with, people who knew the old you kind of see them and feel them watching you, checking in on you periodically, but you don't see them reaching out with any type of support, encouragement, because it is not popular yet to support you. Until you get like major recognition and clout, and you start getting like these undeniable like accomplishments, and you start seeing like real success. I mean, everybody measures success in a different way, but you start seeing success as how most people see success, which is clout, recognition, and money, financial freedom, okay? Until people start to see that, or they start to see like popular people or people that they admire and respect, or people who are like universally admired and respected, until they see like people like that co-signing you, um they're going to withhold affection, they're going to withhold admiration, they're going to withhold support, but they're going to continue to observe and spectate. Okay, so like this person is just minding their own business, focus on themselves. That's all you could do. That's all you can't control that. You could delete all your social medias and then stay in the house and then never be seen again, but at the same time, you are encouraged to like shroud yourself from time to time and cloak yourself and cloak your energy from time to time. But that is not like, you can't just like stay like that. I mean, you can, but I don't think that's the goal for the collective, to be in hermit mode forever, because you're meant to inspire, you're meant to be seen. And because you are a positive person and you're not promoting degenerate activities, you're not promoting like illicit things, you're going to be singled out for that, because you're not promoting the agenda that they want you to promote. Okay, just by being you, you're showing that there is a way, there you do have the option to be a positive, kind-hearted, pure-hearted person with all the best intentions for yourself and everyone that you meet. It's possible to be that way and become successful and obtain financial freedom and be happy, and feel as though that you're successful in whatever way that you measure success. Okay. But people aren't willing to do the hard work it takes to get there. They would rather like take the easy way out, but when they get back to the other side, they're going to regret taking the easy way out, because you may have been able to prosper here on this earth, but you did it in a way where you were not true to yourself, you were not authentic, you ended up hurting other people, harming others in some way, shape, or form, more likely than not harming yourself, sabotaging yourself and others. You can't do all that and then your life looks good on paper. When you get to the other side, you can't take none of that shit with you, and they're going to look at you like, no man, you went about it the wrong way. You went about it the wrong way. And a lot of times when these people get certain awards and rewards and accolades and finances and prosperity and abundance, and they look successful on paper, oftentimes they're making disparaging comments and discouraging people who go about it in a different way, because you're showing that you can go about it in a different way. But it's just more difficult, and people don't want to make life more difficult than what it has to be. But you kind of have to, if you want elevation and ascension when it comes to your soul. So continue doing the hard work, collective. You out here just doing the damn thing. Keep triggering people because you're supposed to. Keep focusing on yourself. I know it's hard when people are attacking you, especially, here's the thing about you, and this is what unremarkable people will never understand. It takes groups. It takes groups of people to come against you. That's why groups of people come against you. That's why one person who doesn't like you tries to turn other people against you in the narcissistic smear campaign. One family member gossips about you to the other members of the family, and these people are already triggered by you. You already keep to yourself, and you're not trying to prove yourself to anybody. You don't care to be in everybody's face. Sharing gossip and drama. There's a time and place for that. But you're no longer participating in those low vibrational activities, and people, it does not take much to convince other people to not like you or believe lies about you. They want to believe the lies. They want the tea on you because they don't want the burden of getting to know you, because once they try to get to know you, inevitably they're going to become triggered, because they're going to be triggered in some way, shape, or form by who you are as a person. You're not trying to harm others. You do not intentionally harm others, okay? We all like unintentionally hurt people's feelings. I'm sorry, a lot of stuff I say like hurts people's feelings because I'm blunt and straightforward, and people don't like that. But I find it a huge waste of time to sit up here and have small talk or dance around an issue. I feel like you should confront the issue head on, so you can remove all uncertainty from the situation and you guys can move on. People don't think like that. People do not like when you think like that. People do not like when you communicate like that. I don't know if that's like a neurodivergent thing. I've been seeing more and more videos about that. I probably am somewhere on that spectrum. I mean, it makes sense. The hyperfixation on certain things, it's all starting to come together. I think a lot of the collective empaths, chosen ones, starseeds, they are considered neurodivergent because it makes sense. You're probably not neurotypical because you're not typical. It makes sense that a lot of people are like that, and it makes sense because people don't appreciate a straightforward communication. They just don't. Okay. So I think, we should set the standard. Like how we communicate, that should be typical. What should be not typical is like dancing around an issue and, engaging in small talk. I mean, do you really care about how I'm doing? Do you really care about what I do for work? Or is it just an opportunity to tell me what you do for work? Do you care about where I went to school, or do you want to show off where you went to school? A lot of people ask you questions in the hopes that you'll ask them the same question so they can, try to impress you or brag or whatever, when they could have just led with that. Like, collective, I feel like you are now embracing being different, and then you're working on yourself. You're working on yourself, okay? So continue to do so. People are going to continue to come up against you. Yeah, and like I was saying, like people they have to group together. Like, do you know what a powerful individual you have to be? For people to get together in groups, they have to come against you in groups, okay? And once you start to see a pattern, I feel like the collective has, you're very intuitive, so you have this pattern recognition where you start to see, it's like, damn, I keep meeting the same kind of person. It's like the same person in a different body every single time. You're going to keep meeting people like that because you're meant to trigger people, okay? That's all it comes back. It's always going to come back to that. You're meant to trigger people. So it depends on like how you handle that. And you can't become, upset for very long about how people react to you, because they're reacting kind of like how they're supposed to react, with contempt, anger, confusion, and disdain. All right. Because they just don't get you. They don't understand your way of thinking, and they don't want to expand their consciousness. They don't want to be open-minded because it's easier to be closed-minded, because then you have something solid to identify with. People have to label and personify and identify everything. They have to have everything. Like, as much as people hate blunt, straightforward communication, when it comes to certain things like labels, it's like they have to have things spelled out for them. Okay. That is so ironic. It's like, do you want things spelled out for you or not? It's like they pick and choose. You know how people pick and choose who to play with? People know who to play with and who not to play with. Like, oh, I wouldn't mess with them. And then another person, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to try this with them. Right? I think people just pick and choose the path of least resistance, whatever fits their narrative and fits their agenda at the same time. And I think people do enjoy moving the goalposts and seeing things from a perspective where it validates what they've always known to be true. But you, collective, what makes you different is you're willing to accept, like, sometimes, you were wrong about something, and you're willing to correct that, and you're willing to learn, and you're willing to grow, because life is all about like figuring out stuff that you didn't already know and learning and adding that to your repertoire. But a lot of people, they're so cocky and they're living within their ego, like so insecure, but so cocky. It's so funny. But they're prideful and living within their ego. They don't want to admit that they were wrong about something. They did something wrong, said something or did something that hurt somebody and inadvertently hurt themselves, or they're hurting a community of people, or they have, harmful thinking. They are bigoted and it's pervasive, the way that they have these prejudices. Okay. They have these biases. A lot of people are like racist, homophobic, Islamophobic, anti-Semitic. And it's because like they grew up hearing those things and identifying with those things. So it becomes a part of their identity, but they don't understand that they can disidentify with harmful things and become a better person. But that involves ego death and shadow work and introspection and confronting the shame and guilt associated with those things. And they're going to take the path of least resistance. They're not going to do all that. They would rather just become triggered and double down on their prejudices and their harmful ways of thinking. And then it just perpetuates that generation after generation. And it's like, you come along and inspire change, or you're supposed to theoretically give the person the opportunity to be inspired to change, but they just do not become inspired because they do not wish to learn, grow, and heal and change their perspective on things. Okay. So these are all things that are out of your control, but I do think it's important to kind of like break it down and dissect like why people react the way that they do towards you, because it gets, you can get caught up in a mental loop, and we all have, okay? Sometimes daily, sometimes for months and years on end, we get caught up in this loop. Like, why am I being treated like this? Why is my life so difficult? Why do all these people come up against me and I'm innocent? It's like, I'm trying to do the right thing, but I'm being punished for it. It's important to have acceptance, but in order to have acceptance, you kind of have to like know or have an idea of like why this is happening. So that's why I like to do these little breakdowns. But spirit is seeing you, like you're being celebrated in the higher heavenly realms where you come from, because you have embodied and embraced your mission here on this earth, which is to focus on you, self-improvement, what makes you passionate, what makes you joyful. If you're not joyful or passionate about anything, become obsessed with your self-improvement journey. That's going to take up like 90% of your day. It's going to take up 90% of the space in your mind, okay? Because you can become obsessed with your self-improvement journey, and it's good to do that, okay? If you're going to obsess over something, obsess over yourself. That's what these people can't do. Because becoming obsessed with yourself means looking at all aspects of yourself, bearing your soul to yourself, and leaving nothing unearthed, leaving nothing uncovered. I feel like when it comes to you and your personality and your healing journey and your shadow selves, it's like you have already covered this. Like it's already, you've already done most of the hard work. Now all you have to do is maintain. And I feel like you're going to obtain a lot of freedom, success, and stability going into this year, okay? And we're going into this new month. I feel like rebirth, renewal, and resurrection is definitely relevant for you, collective, because it's like you got to keep reinventing and rebuilding yourself, because people keep trying to dismantle your whole life and what you got going on. A lot of you guys have had to move frequently, change careers frequently, and change your perspective and change your attitude frequently, change your thoughts, redirect your thoughts, reorient yourself frequently, because you're operating on a higher frequency, which means lower dimensional and lower vibrational people on a lower frequency are going to frequently try to mess up and sabotage whatever you got going on. Okay? And when you're perceptive and intuitive, it's hard not to realize and notice more and more and more people starting to sabotage you or spectating and observing you and not supporting. Especially like it's especially hurtful. It's a real hurt piece. It really does hurt the heart when you're asking to be supported in a certain way, and people have spent years spectating and observing you and absorbing your energy in whatever way that they can. Or even getting material to gossip about. Because we all know, majority of people, if they talked about themselves, no one would listen, which is why people love to gossip about you, because they think that it's not going to get back to you, which is so funny to me. But you're an empath, so you feel everything. They don't understand that you feel emotions. These people are so out of touch with their own emotion. These people are so out of touch with their own emotions, they cannot fathom how much of an empath you are, because you're in touch with your emotions. And the more you're in touch with your emotions, the more you'll be able to pick up on other people's emotions, especially if you've experienced trauma that disrupted your nervous system and put you in a constant state of fight or flight, okay? Especially those who grew up in a traumatic upbringing or were in traumatic relationships, okay? Multiple relationships. Because we don't just experience trauma once, we experience trauma over and over and over again. But the way to break this cycle and the way to break this loop is to put up boundaries when you realize, like, yo, this person is exhibiting a red flag. I'm telling you right now, you let them slide once, it's only going to go downhill from there. Once people show you who they are, believe them. And I feel like you have embraced and embodied this concept, collective. So keep doing you. Just know that, you know that people are going to be defensive and they're not going to like it, but it's that's none of your affair. Okay. At this point in time, you're no longer, wasting any energy trying to convince or thinking about, or just thinking. Sometimes it's not even about like convincing people that you're innocent and that you mean no harm. It's kind of just like sometimes you just ruminate of how unfair it is. Like, it's just so unfair. It's like but then you start to realize, like, you know what? You are not a victim if you choose not to be one. Now, they can continue to try to victimize you, but you're no longer living in a victim mindset. Because when you're living in a victim mindset, you're waiting on somebody to come in and save you. You're waiting to be rescued, okay? But you have realized that you are your own savior, okay? So the part of yourself, your higher self, that is enlightened and strong and has a great deal of like willpower and discipline and knowledge and understanding, you have like resurrected that version of yourself, and you are merging with your higher self. So it's only a matter of time before you merge with the higher timeline. The version of yourself that's living your dream life, that's the person that's living on the higher timeline, on a higher frequency. And you deserve that life, and you know you do, okay? Spirit just wants to make sure that you don't receive all your blessings that are owed to you, and then you stop doing what it is that you're passionate about, or stop living in a way that inspires the collective. Sometimes we don't trust ourselves. Like I said before, this reading has gone on so long, I forget even what I said at the beginning because I don't remember what I say when I'm channeling like this. Like after this, I'll have to look back at the video just to remember what I said. Okay. But I think I said before, if I got $1 million, I would want it in a structured annuity. Cause you give me the whole thing at once, I'm gonna blow it. All right. Okay. So Spirit doesn't want to give you all your blessings at once. And this is why they don't like doing timeline jumps. Like the life you're living now, and then jumping you and accelerating you to a completely different life, it's too much of a shock to the system. And sometimes we lose our values along the way. And we lose like what we struggled so hard to obtain, okay, which is the knowledge and the experience, and the way of thinking and the way of living that manifested from that experience, all those experiences, and the knowledge that you were able to obtain from those experiences, okay? So I'll use myself as a basic example. Like, say if Spirit gave me $20 million right now, I know myself, you'd probably never see me again. I'd probably go on vacation and completely forget that I'm supposed to be a spiritual content creator, giving knowledge and channeled messages to the collective, aka anybody who needs to hear it, anybody who resonates. So I know that about myself, okay? So I have to take the steps to change that about myself. Like, say if I got $20 million tomorrow, I need to know that I'm not going to stop doing what I'm passionate about. It not only helps me, but it helps the collective as well. And that's what I'm here for, to help people who need it, or give people a different perspective, or maybe you're just entertained by me in some way, shape, or form. That's what I'm here for. That's what I feel as though my mission is. It gives me purpose. It gives me passion. It gives me joy. And I'm immensely grateful that I know what my purpose is. Because a lot of people don't. I think most people don't. You'll be surprised. You asked most people, what is it that you really want? What could change your life right now? What is it, that'll make your life better right now? And you ask them to be specific, they probably wouldn't tell you that. I don't know what I want. Okay, so you got to know what you want. You got to know what you want. If you don't know what you want, the universe can't give it to you. You can't give it to yourself. Okay, if you don't know what you want. If you don't know what you want, they're just going to give you anything. And then you're going to become quite disappointed. Okay, guys. So I have to get to the point where I know that if I became financially free, that I wouldn't just disappear off of social media, go on vacation forever, and then like you never see me again. I completely forget I'm a spiritual content creator and completely stop doing what it is that I'm passionate about. Okay, because there's a very high likelihood of that happening. Because I would be so overjoyed that I would just be like, fuck all this shit. But like, why would I do that when I love this so much? So Spirit needs to make sure I'm not doing this as a means to an end, which is why I ain't getting no ends and no dividends from this shit, okay? But I genuinely enjoy it. I mean, if you can't tell that I enjoy it just by like listening to me make these videos, then, I don't know what to tell you, but, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you guys, and I'm so grateful that God, Spirit, the universe gave me something to be passionate about. Because it's the worst feeling not having, or feeling like you have no purpose, feeling like nothing makes you joyful or passionate, period, ever. Like nothing makes you joyful. You don't feel passionate about anything. That's the worst feeling, the feeling of depression. It's the worst. So, this is my test right now, okay? This is my test. Can I keep doing this, knowing that I'm passionate about it and knowing that it brings me purpose? Even though I'm dealing with a great deal of stress and pressure, as far as my finances being sabotaged. I mean, there are people who don't like me speaking up for the collective. As much as the collective resonates with like who I'm talking about, like the people who are supposed to relate to this video, the people who I'm talking about, like the perpetrators, like the villain in my videos, the villain in these stories is the narcissist, and they feel very triggered when they watch my videos. So they're not going to want me speaking up for the collective. They don't want the collective making sense of why they're treated the way that they're treated. They don't want me exposing the narcissist's manipulation tactics, because then they don't have a leg to stand on. The religious people, they don't want me doing tarot. They don't want me, emphasizing the fact or demonstrating the fact that there is a way to God without there being a middleman, such as religion, because they're making money off religion. As much as people call tarot readers scammers, I want you to look up, anybody who thinks that, I want you to look up annually, how much does the tarot card industry make, or the psychic industry make annually, versus how much the religious industry makes annually. And then tell me who's the scammer. Tell me who's doing this for the money. Okay, that's all I gotta say about that. Collective, continue doing your thing and let me be an inspiration. I'm gonna continue to show up for you guys because I just love this. I get up with these messages in my heart, and with these insights, and I just feel like somebody needs to hear it, or like, I don't know, I just feel like this need to do this, to share this with you guys. Okay, so maybe I could be an inspiration to somebody. I don't know. I know I'm going to trigger a lot of people, make people angry and upset, but I am stressed right now. I ain't gonna lie, you guys. I am stressed right now because they've sabotaged my finances. I wasn't just relying on the tarot videos for income. I've had my own business for over 10 years, but clients kind of just like fell off, and I kind of fell off. Like, business is slow right now. Okay. Just like, just to be candid or whatever, and expose the human side of me. Okay. It's been tough, but this video, is dedicated to Diane and Kent, two longtime supporters who reached out with resources and support in a very meaningful way. So thank you so much. Diane and Kent, you guys are angels. You guys are lifesavers. I just want to thank you so much. They saw that I was asking for help and reaching out for help, and they saw me explain like how I was struggling. The circumstances have sabotaged my finances. I don't have access to a vehicle, which makes it hard to obtain employment because a lot of the jobs, they're minimum wage and they're out in the suburbs, okay? And they're not in the suburb I'm in, all right? Because I live in a very wealthy and affluent area, but I live in a low-income housing. So I'm able to scrape by most months, but these past couple months, if it wasn't for Diane and Kent, I ain't gonna lie, I don't know where I would be. And I have 2 cats to take care of too. So it's not like to make anybody feel sorry for me or, I'm gonna pull on your heartstrings to make you support me. No, because that doesn't work anyway, okay? But I just want to use myself as an inspiration because everybody's inspired by good rags to riches story. So maybe you could see me like come back from this. I want to be able to like make a comeback. So that's my prime objective right now. And the only way I know how to do that, continue to fill out job applications. Nobody's calling me back, but my resume isn't that impressive because I'm just being real. Like I get fired or they'll push me to quit every single job that I get. Okay. I know I'm not meant for traditional employment. But at the same time, we live in a material world, and anybody that's spiritual yet grounded will tell you that, you still need money to live. And spiritual people need money more than anybody else because we're the most vulnerable population. So I want my story to be like a inspiration, hopefully. Okay. So the only thing I know how to do is just do what I know how to do. Okay. My skill set is tarot cards and working with animals. Those are my 2 passions. I'm incredibly lucky to have 2 passions. That's insane. So I'm incredibly grateful just for that, just knowing what my purpose is. My purpose isn't generating much income right now, which is stressful. And I am kind of like at the end of my rope, but the support that I receive online, it gives me hope. It makes me want to keep going. Okay, especially somebody out there in a similar situation. A lot of people just can't help because everybody's going through their own struggles right now. Okay. But big shout out to everybody who joined the members only fan club. I give all of my spiritual downloads, bonus tarot readings, manifestation techniques, and everything that I know about spirituality to help you along your journey, like actionable steps you could take to manifest the life that you want. Okay. It's 99 cents a month. So, just putting that out there, okay. I have to shamelessly advertise myself because I am meant to be an entrepreneur. But I don't want to make it seem like, I'm constantly selling you something, but you on social media, you kind of have to. Okay, guys. All right, guys. Or I'm hoping for a brand deal, or I'm hoping for business to pick up. If you want to ask, some people might ask, well, why don't you just sell tarot readings like you used to? Why don't you like let people ask you questions and they could pay you to do that? Guys, no amount of money is worth doing it because for some reason, answering the questions for you guys, doing personal readings, it drains the life out of me, quite literally. It drains the life out of me and it stresses me out. And I'm just the type of person I notice about myself. I can't handle a great deal of stress. That's just who I can't handle a great deal of stress, which definitely adds a layer of difficulty to just my day-to-day life. But you got to work with what you got. You got to navigate around these types of problems. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I just appreciate each and every person that joins the members only fan club and reaches out with support and resources. I know not everybody's able to do that. I know probably like most people aren't able to do that or just like aren't willing. And that's okay. because I don't want to guilt trip nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to guilt trip anybody, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just letting people know that, I'm trying, and I'm doing my very best, and maybe it could be inspiration. Also, I am looking for somebody to donate a printer. If anybody has a printer that they're not using, a laser printer. I don't have good luck with ink printers, and I don't have good luck with HP. I don't know if it's my frequency that disrupts certain electronics, but certain electronics just malfunction around me. I think it's something to do with my frequency making the electronics malfunction. It happens with microphones. I was looking at the Brother printer. Is a laser printer, but all you have to do is buy the toner. So, like, if anybody has a printer like that or is willing to donate one, let me know. Because I have a small amount of crystals that I'm willing to part with and sell on Etsy, because I just miss selling crystals on Etsy. I used to have a big inventory, but you guys bought all my inventory. So it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have, but now I don't have any inventory and the overhead was too much, so I didn't really make a profit off of it. I'm kind of just like broke even, if that. So maybe I'm just not good at business. I don't know. I feel like at one point I was, but then I just got like really stressed out or something. I don't know. So you guys can, watch me try to navigate this. And I feel like I'm going to make it out. But big shout out to Kent and Diane, man. Kent and Diane, you don't know how grateful I am for you. Thank you. Thank you so much for reaching out. All right. I love you guys so much. I want you guys to hang in there and please pray for my protection, because there are people that don't want me to make these videos and they're trying to sabotage everything I got going on. Okay. So I'm sorry I can't do personal readings. Okay. If that was a question, it's just too stressful and it's not, I can't, like, I just can't do it. It's not that I physically can't do it, but it's like, it stresses me out too much. And I can't deal with a great deal of stress because I've been stressed out my entire life. So I need something that's low stress and low key. I've been applying for like overnight jobs, like little, like cleaning, stocking shelves, stuff like that, or working with animals. I'm good at that. So yeah, you guys continue to pray for me. Pray for my protection. I do constantly feel like I'm being attacked in every which way, but like I tell you guys, you gotta focus on the positives. That's what I'm trying to do. Just focus on the positives and doing what I love, which is tarot. Okay. And I don't want to be perceived right now. Okay. If you're wondering why I'm doing all these faceless videos, I think a lot of spiritualists get to that point. But I will feel like being perceived again soon. But right now, I feel like it's good for me to just be able to kind of just get on here real quick and just, well, not real quick because my messages are long-winded, but it's good for me to get on here and be able to just like give the information, because that's what I want. That's all I want, is just to give the information to anybody who might benefit from it. Okay, guys? So you guys, please pray for my protection, okay? The power of prayer really does work. It really does help, okay? And thank you so much, everybody that has been praying for me. I do believe that things are going to turn around, and I want to stay strong and stay hopeful for the collective while still remaining like transparent and candid about what's going on in my life, okay? All right, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys on the next one.